back to another Big Bad Review with Cam of the Big Bad Beetle Bros podcast and Stronger Than Before, the Zeo Rewatch podcast. I'm here today for another slightly off-kilter review, video, collection, highlight, whatever you want to call it. And today I'm going to be looking at a handful of the B Fighter and Beetleborgs figures from my collection, from my shelf. These are all bought years and years and years after they've been opened, played with, and all sorts of stuff. So they're largely incomplete or otherwise not, no unboxings or anything like that in this video, unfortunately. But these are kind of my quote unquote my shelf warmers, my decorative desk minis and stuff like that. So yeah. Let's get into it. Alright, so first I think let's go ahead and knock out the one thing that isn't necessarily an action figure. The one thing that is a prop slash collectible, whatever you want to call it. One thing that's not a figurine. This is the, in America it was the Data Bonder. In Japan for B Fighter Kabuto I think it was called the Voice Commander, if I remember right. I know in Juku B Fighter they're the B Commanders, and I'm pretty sure they're called Voice Commanders later. Yeah, this is the only Data Bonder Voice Commander thing that I have. I don't have an original either from B Fighter or from Beetleborgs. They're both fairly expensive or missing too many parts to be worth me getting. And the new version, which I do believe John with DES just got or was about to get in at the time of this recording. I don't have it. I did not get the premium Bandai version. It's expensive. Yeah, so this is the one that I got. I got this off of Mandarake. It's not sponsored or anything on this video, but I love that site. I find some cool stuff there. And this was like $5-10 maybe, more with shipping, but the actual base price was only $5 or $10 or so. Came in a little card-backed bubble packaging, which I didn't keep just because I got it for so cheap, and it wasn't in that great a condition anyway. And this is, I would equate this to like what you would find at a dollar store or maybe a supermarket or something like that here in the States. Pretty flimsy, thin plastic. There's not really anything going on in the inside. On the deluxe version, on the regular version, this horn would flip down and cover this silver sticker plate, which you can see there. But on this one, it actually has a not data chip, but meant to look like the data chip. So that slides down into the top there. And then the data card chip thing is, instead of having like, instead of it saying like B Fighter and having anything else on it, it says B Fighter, but it's B-E-E-E. Or sorry, B-E-E Fighter, like a bumblebee. So I don't know if this is like a knockoff. I'm fairly certain this was an official B Fighter thing, and it may just be a weird translation thing that they put B Fighter and spelt it that way. But yeah, and there's nothing. It's just a sticker with the 3 B Fighter the Kabuto characters on it. Nothing on the back. It's just a black piece of plastic. And there's kind of a neat circuit pattern there on the back. It is a good size. Like, it's probably only a little bit smaller than the deluxe versions, but yeah. And you just pop that in and it pops out. It does stay in pretty well. But like, it doesn't lock. There's no sound effects, no batteries, nothing like that. But yeah, so this is my one Data Bonder prop thing that I have, which looks good enough on the shelf. But moving right along, These two little guys I actually got at G-Fest quite a few years ago. They were like little Gashapon figurines. They pop up on Mandarake and eBay and stuff like that every now and then. Amazon Japan as well. Let's go ahead and look at Blue Beat first. These guys are like maybe 2 inches tall, inch and a half maybe. I don't know why one of Blue Beat's arms sticks way out compared to the other. I've seen photos of this figure. Actually, both of theirs do that. It's just way more noticeable on Blue. The only posability is that their arms rotate 360, and their waist is, yeah, it rotates 360, but it's kind of finicky. It's just kind of like tight on the plastic. It only has paint on the front, so the back is completely blue except for the shoulder pads. Really good molded detail, though. I will say that the little backpack and all the like circuitry, panel lining, all that stuff, really, really, really crazy high detail for something this small and kind of like not, notable or whatever. This is probably like a $5. I think I paid like $20 for both of these guys. Yeah, but real neat. And then for Black Beat, it's the same way. They are just like normally with Black Beat and Blue Beat. They are basically the same mold except for the shoulders and the head, and then the back. Doesn't have the stag beetle or the rhinoceros beetle horn there or anything like that. He's got his eerie, creepy, evil head sculpt. Yeah, I love these little guys. Like I said, they pop up pretty frequently, and yeah, they're not super hard to find if you're looking on eBay, or specifically Mandarake is always a place where I find those floating around. And I've seen them at a few other cons as well. They pop up not infrequently. Another thing that I got lucky finding on Mandarake, these little chibi guys. I adore these little figures. They're probably one of my favorite B Fighter things that I have. We'll get on their level a little bit. Yeah, they're just absolutely wildly adorable. They came out of the package. I think actually the cardboard backing or the packaging maybe is being sold separately on Mandarake, which is wild to me. I don't have any yearning to buy it, but it has made me, I've had to double take every now and then when I go to browse because I think I'm seeing another set of these. There's a similar set that was made for B Fighter Kabuto, the second season, the Metallics in the US, but I've only seen those ever so frequently on eBay or Mandarake, and they're way more expensive. I think I paid $10, $10 or $20 for this entire set of 5. I wish that it came with the White Blaster Borg, but he was not really a main character, was not a character really in B Fighter, so it's totally understandable we don't really get merch featuring him. So we've got Green Hunter Borg / G Stag, adorable little sculpt. They all have their main weapons. They all have their Hunter Claw, their Beetle Battlers. Sculpted backpacks. The paint apps are pretty solid. They're a little scuffed on mine. They're all molded. They're kind of they're all hollow, but they're not like pencil toppers. I've seen pencil toppers for Super Sentai and Power Rangers and stuff, and Kamen Rider. Sorry, these are not those. This is a little Shadowborg Black Beat. He's got his blaster and his Shadow Claw sticking up there. And yeah, again, pretty good molding and paint apps all the way around. Really just adorable, adorable little guys. And there are 2 Blue Beats. One with his Beetle Battler, with his, his Stinger drill. Pretty good look all around. They do have the copyright printing on the back of their heads because they don't have anything printed on the bottom. Yeah, just little chubby chibi figures. And then Rettle has her Striker Blaster. You can hear my cat screaming in the background. Meow. And a second blue beat, which has his, this is the Pulse Saber dagger, and he's kind of doing like a little wave there with his hand. But yeah, you know, really cute. And moving on from those guys, we're going to scoot right on over to the only mainline Beetleborgs B Fighter action figure that I have. That's actually like the, I guess, quote unquote deluxe action figures that they sold. You know, the kind of traditional action figures that were included in the sets. And of course, this is from Metallics. This is Lightning Borg, aka B Fighter Min. Min from the Japanese term for cicada, Min Min Zemi, which is, fun fact, an onomatopoeia because they sound like they're saying Min Min Zemi in the, you know, when they're making their buzz buzz noise. Yeah, really cool figure. Pretty solid posability for what it is, you know, for a 1997 or 8 figure. Chrome is starting to fade quite a bit on mine, but that is to be expected. Push you up a little bit here. Luckily, mine included both of his swords, and the gimmick works still. So he's got a lever on the back that, if you click down, lifts up the beetle wings, cicada wings on his front. And then there's a little spinner that like replicates his like ultimate attack, which the name I don't remember. I apologize, but really solid head sculpt, especially on this guy. It's a little hard to tell because of the chrome reflecting just everything. Back's pretty plain. This is actually like kind of a chrome metallic black paint finish on the torso. The legs are the only part that do just have plain black, just a shiny black plastic. Yeah, the swords are really cool. I don't like taking them out of the hands, but they do come out of the hands. They're just really, really tricky to get back in there. Posability, you got the arm, does go 360, but ooh, you're going to get some paint rub there on the rim, and you can see a little bit on the edge, both on the shoulder here and on the actual like pauldron, where the chrome is kind of worn off there. And then the elbow rotates technically 360, but you know, and then the hand doesn't. So that's your hand movement is there. The head, at least on mine, doesn't rotate. I don't know if that's normal or if mine is like has been glued and repaired or something, but yeah, it doesn't rotate on mine. No waist or hip swivel, or sorry, no waist swivel, but the hips do move. They don't quite do a full split, but they go out quite a bit. Plastic on these hips, if I remember right, are pretty brittle and fragile, especially over the years. So if you have, you know, one of these figures, either from, I don't know if mine is from Beetleborgs or from B Fighter. I'm not 100% sure. It just says 97 Bandai on the bottom of the foot, so it could be either one. Then yeah, the legs, they go quite a ways back and almost 90 degrees forward, and then you've got a almost 90-degree knee bend, and then that's pretty much it. There's the knee swivel here that doesn't quite go, well, I guess it does go 90. I just don't really like to, push it, and I usually just kind of keep him stationed with his swords crossed. Keeps a pretty good balance. But yeah, this is, again, like I've said, this is my favorite design from the B Fighter and Beetleborgs characters. Yeah, just absolutely adore that character. Someday I will get a helmet of that. Someday I'll finish the helmets that I have, and then someday I'll get that helmet. But next up, the only U.S. exclusive Monster of the Week figure I have, except for the Flower and Hillhurst Monster set. Photonomator or Photominator, depending, the M and the N in his name get switched back and forth depending on who says it in what episode, and like I think the toy says a different thing than the episode information usually does, so it's really tricky, especially because the DVD sets don't have subtitles. But this is one of those like interesting, Bandai America figures that, as far as I know, was only released in America. I don't think they made these guys in Japan. Making toys of the monsters of the week is not really as big of a thing in the Japanese market as it is in the U.S. Except for like figures like this that are 6-inch tall or whatever, 4-inch tall, that are like vinyl figures. So yeah, this is Photonomator. I actually bought him with the intent to put a webcam in his torso and like have him sit on top of my sit on top of his shelf and act as a webcam. And then I never got to it because I didn't want to risk permanently destroying him. But someday maybe I will do that, because I actually thought about maybe hooking him up as my Ring camera on my house, but add to my list of projects I haven't finished. Posability, pretty much the same as a traditional action figure. 360 on both arms. Both of his arms, the shoulders are super loose. He actually almost can't hold his hands straight up. He just balanced really well on his feet. He's got really solid, almost rubber, soft plastic legs. They only move at the hip, so you get the not quite split and then slightly kind of walking motion forward and back, and that's it. They kind of pivot and they can go 360, but again, that's just because it's on a ball socket joint at the hip. No movement at the knee, no movement at the feet. This gray color is just the color of the plastic. You can see the discoloration there a little bit as the mold was imperfectly mixed when it was poured. And then just a little bit of paint on the knees there. Mine's got really gnarly gaps in the shoulder, like biceps here for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know if that's normal for this figure or not. I don't know if he like fell apart and he's been glued back together. I do really dig the little like mini guns mounted on the shoulders. I don't remember those from the show, but like pretty neat. I do think he had a super mode, if I remember right. And he's kind of got like the flash up here at the top. And then on the back, just like the handful of the other figures, he has a little switch on the back that is meant to hook up. It's hard to do on camera. It's meant to hook up to like a little geared system inside that makes his hands move, and I think it's supposed to make both of them move, but it only makes one move on mine. And I'm guessing that that's supposed to be, I could be wrong, but I think that's supposed to be like rotating like a Gatling gun, because I don't think he came with a sword or anything, and I don't remember him having a sword in the show, but he might have. Yeah, not 100% sure. That's Photonomator. That's the only villain figure I have that isn't my inbox Typhus. Oh, I just got done saying that he stands up well, and now he's not going to stand up. There. He's kind of going to lean forward a little bit. Okay, and then the biggest one that I'm going to talk about in this short-ish video is my... I think this is a 10-inch. Might technically be a foot tall. Let's see. Yeah, he's a foot. He's actually closer to a foot and a half inch, 12.5 inches tall. Figure the 12-inch B Fighter Blue Beat / Blue Stingerborg Drew from Beetleborgs, as we all remember. This is a really cool figure. I don't think I have the batteries in him, and I am not really not a huge fan of trying to put the electronics in this guy, just because it's really kind of a pain, and he is like really, really stiff on the joints, and just like manipulating this figure feels really tricky. I got this at G-Fest 3-4 years ago now, when the guys and I went up there and for the show. This was the only one of the only B Fighter things that I saw, and I just had to snag it to have in the collection. Yeah, like I said, they have lights and sounds. They also made a Shadowborg version of this, but I don't know if Shadowborg got sold in the States or not. They didn't make any of the other Beetleborgs or B Fighters. They just made Black Beat, Blue Beat because they're basically the same mold already. And then they later on made new versions in metallics using Jan Person 12-inch figures, which is kind of wonky and funny. But yeah, posability on this guy, 360 on the elbows, sorry, on the shoulders. A little trickier on that one. Slightly outward pivot on the shoulders there. And then like technically a 360. Gosh, this is on the elbow. This is supposed to rotate, but it is incredibly tight. And I can like hear the plastic straining when I move it. And then also a 90 on the elbows. But again, I can like hear the plastic strain in certain parts, and I really don't like that. It makes me super nervous. No waist or hip. The legs are like technically on a pivot. So they can go back a little bit and out a little bit, but not enough to do any kind of posing. And then the knees go 90 back. But again, and like the feet do too. The feet also go like at a 90 back. But it's so weird because like there's not really a pose that you could do that could utilize either like any of these leg bends, because none of them bend. Like you can twist the knee there. Like none of the ways that it bends make sense for posability in any way. It really just makes sense for like to add a little bit of expense maybe and a little bit of like playability, but there's nothing for like actual posability that you could like have him stand upright and do. It'd just be like, I don't know, kid in the sandbox play type stuff. Mine did come with the Sonic Laser Blaster, and then I do believe that these guys also came with their Beetle Bonder, typically. You can hold it. It looks a little wonky. Oh yeah, the hand also has a 360 swivel, but mine, again, is like really, really tight and does not feel good to move. So I do dig the little blaster. It's got the little sticker with the dial on it. It's covered in chrome. I don't store mine in the hand because I don't want it to get scuffed too bad. It's got this giant chrome holster that you just put in there. Downside ever so slightly. The sticker's only on one side, and it's on the right side. It's on the left side. So if you put it in the holster, the sticker's facing in. And if you put it in his right hand and you had him facing out, the screw is what's facing out. So that kind of sucks. And then there's the drill here, which doesn't really do much of anything. And I'm missing the actual like drill bit portion of it. I always want to say that this part pops out and you can see the actual like mechanism inside, but I don't think it actually does that. I think it's always me misremembering and thinking of other figures that have come out, like the SH Figuarts of Blue Beat. But yeah, mine's super scuffed. This does come off. This is actually like a rubber soft plastic. And yeah, you could have the drill just in here, or you could have this on the drill. I leave this on just because I don't have the drill, so that way there's at least something. And there's also a peg on the wrist that this fits into so that it can actually stay instead of just having to rely on the hand clenching it, because the way that the fist kind of moves in, it doesn't actually clamp on it very well. It just kind of like holds it there. So it's not the right shape for either the pistol or for this. Honestly, it's kind of one of those things where like, it's good enough to get it done, but beyond that, it doesn't do much else. I will say that some of the spots where the paint has kind of worn, especially on the head, actually makes it look looks kind of good in my opinion. You get more silver coming through in the panel lines of the blue as the paint kind of wears away from the blue. And then you have the horn is like a softer rubber plastic. And then the eyes would light up. And then it's this little hole here is where a speaker is. I don't think I've ever put batteries in this guy to test that. And I genuinely don't know where a button is somewhere to activate lights and sounds. I have genuinely no clue what actually does it. I think it might be noise activated or something like that. If you yell at it. Not 100% sure on that front, but yeah. So that is a portion of my collection of Beetleborgs and B Fighter action figures. It basically is my collection of B Fighter and Beetleborgs action figures. The rest really is either props like the laser blasters and the astral sword, or that's pretty much it. But I just wanted to highlight that a little bit while I was messing around with my collection, cleaning up a little bit. So if there's anything else that you guys know that I have or think that I have that you want to see, please let me know. I'd love to do a deeper dive video into it. If you guys had any of these or have any of these figures, let me know in the comments. I love talking to people who have either had these in the past or have them now. If you're looking to find figures like this, I always suggest Mandarake. That's the main place that I find B Fighter stuff. And then Beetleborg stuff pops up on eBay super frequently. I have search alerts set up so I can keep an eye on everything. But yeah, until next time, I've been Cam of the Big Bad Beetle Bros and Stronger Than Before. If you want to find me, you can find me on Big Bad Beetle Bros Pod on Twitter. Beetle Bros Pod on Twitter. Big Bad Beetle Bros on Instagram, Facebook, and obviously here on YouTube. And then Stronger Than Before podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then head over to projectlouder.net for all the shows that I do, all the shows that TJ does, all the shows that Nick does with everybody else, Brody, and everybody, jumping into all the film reviews and all that jazz. So yeah, check us out on there. Keep an eye on what projects are coming up, what projects have been done, and what projects are going on. So, until next time, I will see you guys again